Hi, I'm ED-SKaR, and as I've said many times, I've been trying to find a tournament a little bit closer to home than the one I usually go to, and I found one much closer to home, and they were playing Star Wars Legion, which is great. That's a game I've been meaning to get into. Unfortunately, they turned out to be quite an unpleasant crowd for various reasons, and so I left halfway through the day, and I will not be going back. Rather, I am today returning to sunny Milton Keynes, where it is it's a bit wet actually in sunny Milton Keynes, at War Games Workshop at an event run by the Outriders MK. It is, of course, Bolt Action, my usual haunt, and I wish I could find something closer, but I will accept, because these guys are seemingly a much nicer group of people. Today I have brought my Americans, and we are playing a slightly smaller game than normal. It's a kind of the middle ground between the small game and the normal size game. We're playing 750 points. And so I brought my Americans to 750 points. I've managed to paint up just a few more to get them ready. I've actually not got a lot of Americans left to paint, and you'll be seeing them on the channel soon. Both Bolt Action and Conflict 47, some interesting stuff there. There's actually a plane flying overhead, which is fun. But I really need to get inside because it's wet out here, but also we need to set up the tables. So I'm going to go off and do that, and I'll send you back to my past self to have a look at the models that I have brought.
You can probably tell the newer painted models from the old by the different colour to the basing. I'll have to go back and do the old bases in the new style at some point, eventually maybe. After the success of my How to Use Lieutenants video, I am taking a 3 model with submachine gun assault team lieutenant, and they'll be joined by a veteran US Marine squad with shotguns and more submachine guns. I also have a Marine rifle squad with 3 BARs who have been successful for me in the past, and the remaining points are all getting dumped into a rifle squad with no upgrades at all, just a lot of rifles. I do have some support teams as well, as you can see, a bazooka, a light mortar, the Americans have a 3 crew for the light mortar, and the always disliked medium machine gun. For my vehicles, I have an M10 Tank Destroyer, a model I won at this very tournament a few months back, and my M3 half-track. The half-track has enough space for the veterans and the lieutenant, and if I want to, the bazooka as well, depending on the situation. I think maybe the TD might be an inefficient choice for the kind of the smaller game that we're playing today, and maybe a Greyhound or a Stuart would be a better suit to give me some more points for just another infantry squad probably, or to fill out the ones I already have. However, I haven't actually used the Tank Destroyer before, and so I really wanted to, and this is the first chance I've had, and so I'm going to bring it. The first game for me was against the Polish, who I haven't played against before. And not giving me enough time to blink, the Lancers tore across the table and charged my BAR squad, which, as you can imagine, didn't go particularly well for them. The Tank Destroyer had a long-range shot at a truck, but missed, unfortunately. However, it did take out this adorable little tankette. In revenge, my opponent's tank came on and missed my half-track, but got the first order dice in the next turn, and the second attempt stunned the crew. And that really puts the fast-moving part of my army on slow mode. The whole thing turned into a massive punch-up in the middle, surrounding the halted half-track. My Zuka got a perfect angle on their tank, and missed, twice, and the TD also had a go at missing, which it didn't go well for it, and then it caught fire. I did eventually manage to fight some of my units through and got stuck into the enemy infantry, who pretty much crumbled under their yeehaws and oorahs. I even got a lucky angle on their lieutenant, taking them out too. And right at the end, my Zuka got a 3rd attempt on the enemy tank, and rolled a 2. Thankfully, all of the bonus points I scored throughout the game means that I got the win. Game 2 was against the Germans, and some utter numpty had built this board with a walled compound in the middle of it and no cover around it, just open streets surrounding this compound. Now I kept moving my infantry through it and charging out to get gunned down on the other side. The BAR squad was first out, rolling exceptionally well for their hit roll, but only achieved a single casualty for it. My LT had gone on foot with the half-track separately in reserve, and so they popped out with a rifle squad to put some firepower down and get things moving, which nearly worked. Unfortunately, unlike the Poles in the first game, the Germans stayed put, partly because I was using kind of 1 or 2 units at a time rather than focusing kind of my entire platoon for a stronger push. The TD snuck around the board to try and take out the enemy artillery. Unfortunately, before that could happen, a Puma armoured car had rolled straight through my now empty deployment zone and got a great shot at it. My half-track came on last, right at the end of the game, next to the Puma, and I forgot to shoot the HMG at that side armour, which would have at least done a pin, probably. They dropped off the Zuka team, who missed and got taken out in return. Surprise, surprise. At the end of this game, I had only the half-track veterans on my board edge and the medium machine gun in the middle of nowhere left alive. Sure, I scored some points, at least one, I think, but this was a solid defeat overall. Charging across open ground doesn't seem to be a good tactic. My last game was against some Brits, and they had an Achilles, which is essentially the same as the M10, but with a different gun. This was the resin and metal kit from Warlord, where mine is the plastic Warlord Nitalery kit. And so I immediately set about comparing and finding out if the turrets could be swapped. They unfortunately didn't quite fit, but it was still fun to try. For the game, we set out some objectives on the board to hold at the end of the game, and I got stuck in with my weapons teams to get some lines of sight all over the objectives. Our epic tank destroyer duel got started really quickly in the first turn. They shot at me, but missed. And in the second turn, they got the first order die, and yeah, they took out the M10 before it had done anything other than move. So what I just had to do in return was throw up the Vets and the Zuka on the half-track and get to wrecking their forces as fast as possible. That didn't happen. The Zuka team, as you might expect, missed and got taken out. The veterans were whittled to very little very quickly, and then the LT just got taken out, and then so did the half-track. This wasn't going particularly well, and I essentially handed 4 points, 1 for each unit, to my opponent. The middle of the board, thankfully, was going quite my way. My infantry had a line on every objective, and the enemy taking cover well out of range to contest them. But just in the last few moments of the game, their Achilles rolled over, having finished my little armoured push, and blew up an entire squad in one shot. Ouch. But I held the middle objective, and my machine gun team had moved to the right, and so I only gave up my left objective, with the British Paras sneaking in and taking that on the last turn. I scored plenty on objectives, but I lost quite a few in that armoured push, resulting overall in a draw. All told, I came well below halfway on the scoreboard, but I did win the special edition Red Cap model, which is cool. At least I didn't go away empty-handed, although it's hardly empty-handed when you've had fun playing. Even losing is fun in this game. I think I was right in that the TD being a little bit too big of a vehicle for such a small game. That and the half-track were a third of my points, and maybe dropping the medium machine gun as well could give me some more infantry, which certainly would have helped earn points. But I feel that my performance wasn't because of my list, but rather in my tactics. Against the Poles, charging forward and using cover was certainly the right choice, but with the Germans there was no cover on that board after I left that middle compound, and so I got torn up in the open. Differently in my last game, I played well in the middle, taking cover, staking claim on the objectives, but I threw away far too many points in my unsupported half-track. In future games, maybe I should plan things out a little better, take a look at the cover and how I can move up in a way that I can have my units support each other. But, importantly, I did have a lot of fun, and that is of course the goal of any hobby. So with this being the reminder for you to go and have fun, enjoy painting, enjoy reading, and enjoy playing, go have fun. I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and thank you very much for watching.